if I'm in a startup and I'm running a test, I know that test I should be rerun again in 12 months again, because ideally the company will grow.
Hello, Experiment Nation. Welcome to another episode. I'm Jason Gossit, one of the new hosts here. Product growth leader at Applica. I'm super excited to be part of the community. I think today's episode is going to be really interesting. I'm joined by Emiliano Blanco, a senior growth and product leader with over 10 years experience driving revenue through data-driven experimentation and high-impact digital strategies. We're going to be discussing a range of stuff, ranging from experimentation programs to CRO frameworks to experimentation in growth, and lots more. So, let's get started. Nice to have you, Emiliano.
Yes, thank you, Jason, for having me here. Yes, so I'm very happy to be on this episode.
Cool. Yeah, it's been good chatting to you over the past couple of months. I know we've been waiting to get this in. So super excited to chat. We've been talking a lot about different things. So I mean, I know you mentioned that you've built like experimentation programs from the ground up. So what's the what tends to be the first thing that you focus on when starting from zero?
Okay. Yes. Yes, I have built like different experimentation from ground. I think like my first input there, it's to understand like where the business is at and what's like the main goals they are looking for. So for example, if they want to improve conversions or conversion rate, it's like first trying to understand like what's like the entire funnel or the entire process. So then we can like analyze like how things are performing so far, where are like the biggest drops the user might be having, and then from there like, okay, what's like the entire like conversion rate end to end and also each step of the funnel. So then, like as I said before, we can understand, okay, if we improve conversion rate in this step by X amount %, this will be like the impact that we will be having like in the conversion rate or like getting more sales into the business. And also something that I start using like quite a long, it's like the revenue impact, because sometimes might be doing things like it could improve conversion rate, but in the end it doesn't improve a lot the revenue. So like, but my first input is trying to understand like where we are, where are the biggest drops or the biggest challenges the company is having, and from there it's where we start building like, okay, we need to get insights for this and that. So then we can start building like our experimentation roadmap on A/B tests or things that we would like to improve.
Nice. And do you have any like favorite tools or kind of methods that you use to gather those insights to make those decisions, or you kind of tool agnostic?
No. I'm a tool. I will say I'm a tool lover. I try to mix like both things. One is like the quantitative insights, like dashboards, Google Analytics, Mixpanel, Amplitude. Name any analytics platform that you want to take a look, and then like, and that will give me like the hard metrics, like I don't know, conversion rate end to end is this, and then the step by step conversion rate is this. But then I also try to go, if the company has like a, I don't know, a research team or a UX research team, and grab like all the surveys if they have run in the past, to find out like what are like the users most complaining of, or what's like the thing they love the most, so that we can also like understand like, okay, I don't know, yes, people are looking for prices in this, in the homepage, and we are not showing them, or maybe we are showing them but it's not very like highlighted. So try to find like those hidden gems. in terms of like find those hidden gems in terms of what could be testing, right? Also, looking at heat maps or rage clicks or scroll depth to understand like basically what are like the user doing when they enter into the funnel, when they enter into the homepage or any specific landing page. So once that we gather like all that information and those all those insights, usually these insights takes some time because I
Yeah.
don't know if you are like on a PDP page or like on a listing page where you have a full listing of products. You also need, for example, to understand how users are using the filters or if they are filtering or like, okay, a user that see two products converts better than a user that only see one product or no. So once that I gather like all the insights, quantitative, qualitative, and a mix of both, uh,
Mm.
I try to like, I call this in my personal mind like this like draft idea planning. So I list like all the things that I would like to test. Like usually it's like I don't know a 30 or 20 item list of A/B tests that I would like to run.
Mm.
And
Okay.
once I make that list after the insights, I start like looking. Okay, do I have an insight for this test? Yes. Okay. What's the insight or what's like the thing that it will tell me that this could be more important than another test. So and then I have other tests that I don't have insights or the insights are very low or like
Mm.
they are not very clear perhaps. So but I keep them there. So once I have like that list, I try to then start doing like that some housekeeping or to say, okay, I have like a really strong insight for this. So then I start building like the experimentation roadmap and plan to say what's the background, what's the summary that I would what I would like to learn about this experiment, what is the insight that it's telling me that we should prioritize this on the first place or second place versus other experiment, and
Mm.
then what I try to use it's like the ICE framework
Mm.
to say, okay, like this could be like the impact. Why? Because we are running in this step of the funnel. And I know that if I improve conversion rate of this step in the funnel, the impact, as I said before, on the end to end, it will be this amount. Confident and then the like the ease or like how complicated it is to do these things out. And then something that I incorporated recently is like I call it like adjusted eyes because sometimes when you're building experimentation program from ground, you have like an idea of what could be like the impact, but then when you launch that test, it's when it gets like real things on for real people, right?
Yeah.
So I might have an idea that oh no, this could have like an 8 in impact, but suddenly that test I launch it and it doesn't get I don't know to the MDE that I was looking for or like the impact is not as high as I expected to be. So then I try to adjust that. So like when I'm running a new test on that step, I already have like this I adjusted so I can readjust what I originally thought it could have like the impact or the confidence on the test. Um, so that is
I
how
see.
I try to do things.
Nice. So like a bit of a weighted like model maybe.
Yes. It's like when you don't have like maybe you
Mm.
enter a company that they have already done experimentation and you have those insights, so you it's easy for someone
Mm.
to adjust it. But there are sometimes when you don't have nothing. Uh,
Yeah.
So the best way that you can do is like have a track record to say, hey, I ran this experiment, it performed really well, or it didn't perform really well. Why? That's and to understand like or the learnings that you want to get from there or what is the experiment teach you. Like
Mm.
of course in my life that I have been running like more than I don't know 100 A/B tests, there are more like the time that one experiment that I thought it could improve CVR was like the opposite. But I always try to find the
Yeah.
learnings, like what was the learning that I got from this test. So then I try to adjust then my I score based on that, based on the learnings.
Yeah.
Uh, and then also something that I have a hard rule that I call it like the three strikes. That if I iterate one experiment three times and in those three times I didn't find a winner, that if I already have like plans for that step in the future, I will say, okay, I will leave this step or I will leave this type of test aside because I already tested 3 times, and the 3 times that I tested, it didn't work. So
Yeah.
maybe I have to double down my efforts on experimentation, or I should be moving to a different step or a different experiment that I thought that it wouldn't have like that impact, but it might have more impact in the future. But every time that I try to do experiments, um, like I try to get learnings, at least 1 or 2 learnings, what that experiment teach me.
Nice. Yeah, sounds super interesting. I think
Yes,
that's a good way to do it because you can, yeah, you never know. There's always unknowns, and sometimes the tests that you don't think will win surprise you, and you have, and they also have other effects on things and metrics that you didn't expect, that sort of stuff. Yeah, I
yes.
definitely find that as well. Um, cool. All right. So, I mean, yeah. So, moving on, I guess, to startups, because I'm interested in that. Like, I guess, how does building a crow practice in a startup differ from a more mature organization, from what you've seen over the years?
Oh, yes. They are completely journeys when you are like in a startup and when you are like in a more like consolidated company. The first thing it's like, and there are like tons of posts of this. Is like when you are working in a startup, you usually won't have like the confidence or like the amount of traffic necessary to run like a lot of A/B tests. Usually, you will have like per quarter like the chance to run like 1 or 2 or 3 experiments. If we are like very like
Mm,
academic on how we supposed to be running tests, I try to make some hacks on those in terms of the first one is like if I'm in a startup and I'm running a test, I know that that test I should be rerun again in 12 months again, because ideally the
yeah.
company will grow, or and traffic will increase. We will get more money in ads or more traffic into the website because the company is doing so well that it's getting more people into it. So if you have like low traffic at the beginning or medium traffic, and in 1 year like that traffic doubles or triples, just to give an example, you should be running that test again because the user will change. So uh,
Yeah.
so the insight that you get at the first time that you run that experiment perhaps won't be the same on a second run, on a third run of that experiment.
Mm,
I also very like like business have also seasonality. So sometimes you are running a test that it's, I don't know, low season or high season, so you get one results, but then you should be thinking, okay, but if I run this experiment, for example, in a low season or low seasonality, should I get like the same results, or now, or they should change? So that's also like something that I do to get insight. But for sure, in startups, when you run your
yeah.
first A/B test, you should mark that as, okay, I need to rerun this in 12 months because the user will change and I will get more traffic. And the other thing is like, usually when you are on startups, I want to go like the cliche that we should be running like macro tests or big tests that it will improve conversion rate by 30%. But at least you should be aiming for that MD of 30%. Well, it depends on what type of A/B test that methodology you're running, right? But if I'm seeking for an MDE, let's try to aim high, like 10%, 15%, because you know that if a test is working, you will get those insights really fast.
Yeah.
And then you can decide to say, okay, are we taking the risk to move this test into like defaulted to 100% of the audience, or yes, I already get in like a 10% MDE, and I should keep running this for a little bit longer of time to get more insights of this, or I pause it, I default it, and then I see like on the next
Yeah.
2 or 3 weeks if like the CVR that I was seeing keeps constant on time, or it starts to decrease, and I will say, okay, this could be like the reason why. my CVR is going down. Uh, but again, it depends on also like the vice versa. Like you may be running a test that it's having like a 20% decrease in CVR or 10% decrease, and you should stop like that test as soon as possible and mark it, as I said before, like okay, I should be running or rerun this test in 6 months again and see what happens with more traffic, more people, everything.
Yeah.
uh, and then also you need to support like the quantitative data of the A/B test with qualitative data, like send survey to users, go and talk to customers. Something that I always encourage people in growth and CRO is like go and talk to customers. I think that speaking with customers is one of the most important things that you can do, um, to get insights. Maybe it's more demand because like with numbers you will say okay, I'm running this test to 500 people, and with surveys or like interviews with user you only get to interview like 5 people, but at least you can compensate like okay, the quantitative side is telling me this but the qualitative side is telling me this other thing, and together you can combine when you're working on startups. And then when you work on a more consolidated company, in some capacity you keep doing some qualitative research after an A/B test has been run. But as long as your traffic start to increase, and I'm talking like you get like I don't know 50,000 people per day,
Mm.
or I don't know, like a big amount of traffic per week, then you move away more from the qualitative and you focus more on the quantitative, because you have a bunch more of users going there,
Mm.
and there you have to be more rigorous on what you are doing. Like except like I always say, except like you are big brands like Spotify or I don't know Booking, that they have like a really strong
Yeah.
experimentation program, but they are like very well known companies. So if they want to change something, they are able to do it. When you work on a consolidated company, but you are not that well known or you have a lot of competitor in your space, you have to be more rigorous in your A/B testing like methodology. For example, run one test at a time in one step of the funnel. If you're running two tests at the same time, try to avoid like the cross contamination. Or yes, you can have like the cross contamination, but then be sure that your analytics is well prepared, that you can
Mm.
like combine a user that I don't know. If you're running, I don't know, a homepage A/B test, and then you're running a PDP A/B test, okay, do I have my analytics in place that I can measure like okay, a user that in the homepage was in control but in the PDP was in treatment, what was the performance versus a user that in the homepage was in treatment but also in the PDP was in treatment. So it will take you more time, but you will have more better insights and you can take better decisions there.
Yeah, makes sense. I think yeah, it's finding like the balance, isn't it? When if you want to move quickly versus like rigor.
Yes.
I guess that's also like startups want to move quickly and they don't always want to wait for the the
Yes,
stat sig or like other things.
there I think that
Mm.
it's something that people like always have like in mind, like oh, in growth or CRO you need to be fast and test fast and launch 50 A/B tests per quarter or per semester, but sometimes that's not the case.
Yeah.
I think that you need to, I always call it like our work in CRO is we are like scientists of the marketing team. So and we need to give them like okay, we are seeing this, we are doing this. I don't recommend you be doing this in startups, or you have like more flexibility to make those
Mm.
decisions. But again, you need to be aware that
Yeah.
any change that you make, especially when you say I need to default this, you need to have like your analytics in place to measure like okay, let's say that I was running an A/B test and I saw like a 10% lift in conversion rate. Okay, I need to measure that in the next 2 weeks. If the hypothesis was validated and it's validated in the following weeks, because if you suddenly start to see like the CVR is going down, yes, maybe it was like we defaulted this test and I need to roll back and again retest it again and see like if I'm seeing the
Yeah.
results that I used that I saw on my first run of the experiment. At least that is what I try to do. Like, uh,
Yeah, yeah, makes sense. I guess that kind of leads on also to sort of frameworks, because I know you mentioned you've been creating your own like Crow frameworks.
mhm.
I guess I guess could you talk us through maybe one that you found like specific, like especially effective or interesting, that you've been using recently?
My name is Romo Santiago, founder of Experimentation. Our new book, Prove It or Lose It, the mostly no nonsense guide to surviving experimentation program drama, is out now. Find it at experimentation.com and all major bookstores today.
Um, yes, there are like tons of frameworks out in the market, and like
Yeah.
all these growth
Oh, yeah.
guru, they have like their own frameworks. I try to get like the best of everything, right? Like, for example, I don't know, I mentioned that I've been using I don't know, the ice score or ice framework
Mm,
to prioritize my experiments, but there are like other ones, like I don't know, the iteration. Something that I believe very strong in CRO is like the power of iteration. That sometimes like people, when an A/B test it's not positive as they think it should be, they like discard that experiment and they never rerun it again. But so I try to combine like the what it was useful for me, not to build my own framework, because I'm not like a growth guru. I'm trying to get like the best of everything. So for example, like as I said before, like the first thing, or it's like I try to understand where the business is, how I can like build like iteration loops. Like, okay, I found like a test that it's winning or it didn't won, but maybe I can iterate this. I was saying before, like the power of iteration. I think that people underestimate like the power of iteration. Like in the first A/B test they run and it's not a winner, they say, okay, I never rerun this again. But you don't know, because sometimes
mm,
when you rerun an experiment, it's where you might found like something that could be working. I have a case, for example, like when I was working in like this meal delivery service company, that we used to run like one A/B test, that it was like people were clicking on filters, and like the first time that we ran that experiment, like it didn't work. Like, and then we thought, okay, this could be like the UX design that we originally thought it could be working, but it didn't work. But then we work on like rearranging a little bit like the filters and everything, and suddenly on our second iteration we saw like a 10% lift uh, in conversion rate.
yeah.
And so I'm I read a lot about frameworks, but I'm not like a huge fan to recommend a framework. I think that each industry, each company has its own like challenges. So you need to adapt yourself as like, okay, what is the company needing right now? Like, I don't know. Sometimes you won't be doing like a lot of A/B tests, but you can like launch into production like a lot of products, not products, but I don't know. Let's say that we want to test landing pages. Maybe you don't need to like A/B test all the landing pages. You can
Mm,
just go and speak with your paid media, I don't know, manager or someone that runs ads on Facebook, and to tell them, hey, I have like these new 5 landing pages that I would like to test. And that suddenly you run traffic there, and only there is one that is winning or it's improving conversion rate. So okay, let's focus on this landing page. And from there you start building like, okay, what's are like the next iteration that I can do on this landing page. Can I add a new section? Can I change the copy? Do I
yeah.
change like how the image is looking? I test video versus images, like those things that I believe that it's when you start building like your experimentation framework, for example.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, I like that. It's yeah, I think people do definitely, yeah, I've seen that happen in terms of like moving on from too quickly from one test to the next and not iterating enough. you definitely lose a bit of insight there for sure. Cool. So yeah, I agree on frameworks. Is if there's a certain use case, then it's good. If not, then you need to find your own way to apply like structured thinking to a problem. I guess so what's one piece of advice you would give like Crow teams that are kind of stuck in random testing mode, as it were?
Yes, yes. Like how this is like a personal opinion. Again, like I'm not married with any framework, but
Mm,
I recommend people have frameworks to work on. But try to build not to build your own framework. It's like have your own framework, but also adapt your framework to where are you working at. Uh, because sometimes you you come from a startup and you go to a more consolidated company or the other way around, and you need to adapt your playbook. Sometimes it's
mm,
your playbook shouldn't be that rigid, because otherwise like then you won't be seeing like results as you want. For example, as I mentioned before, when you are in a startup you have like more freedom to cut experiments before they reach statistical significance to get insight faster. But again, you need to be like also very rigorous to say, okay, I'm defaulting this, I should follow this in the next 2 weeks to see if this it's keep working or no. uh, but I do recommend that people should have frameworks to work on, because that give you like a cadence of what experiments you should be running, what experiment you shouldn't be running, or if you have in your plan things that were more priority than others, and suddenly you see, okay, this experiment that I thought it wasn't going to perform really well start to perform really well, and then you want to double down the efforts there. So I do recommend frameworks. I do not recommend like marriage with a framework and not be rigid with your own framework. I think you should be like more adaptable to the company that you're working on.
yeah, that's a good point. I think having your own, it's good to have your own playbook and way of doing things, and then obviously adapt to the situation. Yeah, I
Mhm.
think that's a good bit of advice there. Um, Nice. Okay. So I guess I know we're getting close to time, but I mean, how's your couple more questions?
Yes.
How's your perspective on Crow changed over the past like 5-10 years? Because I know obviously when you started things would have been quite different. So yeah, interested to see how you've seen your views on the sort of how the market's changed really.
Oh, yes. That's a really good question. Yes, also like I think that today growth is like the fashion word. Well, now AI is the fashion word, but I would say like 2 years ago, growth was like the fashion way, the fashion word. Like people put growth in every job description, like, but
Yeah.
and then suddenly you read like the job description and like this is not growth, or CRO. I think that things have changed a lot. There are more people that they are doing growth right now. Um, I think that growth is gonna be there, but I think that again, it's we need to structure in a better way what is growth. Growth, it's not
Mm,
running ads just on Facebook and send people or send traffic to the site. I think that growth, as I said before, is like have a methodology of how you are going to be working. You can do growth in Facebook ads, for example, but for example, you can test creatives, run A/B tests on creatives. I think that it's where we need to like understand this mix of insights and how I can apply those insights to growth in my company, right? Like what is like
yeah.
I don't know, the user is doing, telling me that I can use that as an advantage of to improve my performance on a landing page, on a funnel, on a creative. Um so I think that growth has evolved. When I started to doing growth and CRO like 10 years ago, it
Mm,
was more like, yes, I need to work on the like I really like those like indie times of growth, because like you have like big performance marketing team, like they were running ads, and you in CRO growth, like you were like this mad scientific guy that you wanted to take insights and to say, okay, with this insight, I think I have something. And then you go work with your engineering team, put it on production, go and ask for the performance team, hey, I need money, or I need your money to send traffic to this test or this site or this landing page because I'm testing this. And then when you say, okay, yes, this is working or this is not working, but I'm learning these things, okay, we have something here. We need to explore more this. I remember that one time I was like working in this a car manufacturer company in Argentina that we were like trying to sell books online. Like you were able to book your car online, and in that time there was like this insight on a market research that 70% of the people were like financing their car before their purchase, like, or they were buying cars with some type of finance. And then I say, okay, we need to put like a online finance simulator to get like better leads or better bookings. And suddenly when we saw that, like conversion rate increased like 20%. But why? Because I have one insight, and I say I need to explode this insight as much as I can. And when we did it, it was like we were sending to the dealerships more qualified leads, because they know what car the user wants to buy with what finance or what type of buying method they wanted to purchase the
Yeah.
car. So for the dealership, it was much easier to handle that user. And then if you I don't know if you go to any Argentina car site, you now they will almost all of them have like a online simulator for finance. But again, it was like an insight. So I really like those times of like you were working with more metrics, and growth wasn't like the fashion word like you put it on every um, job description.
Cool.
Because I'm running this, it's like we need to like I don't know the advocates of good experimentation program is like the, don't be afraid to tell, don't run an experiment, and be sure that your insights are in place to get good uh, learnings from every test that you run.
Nice. Yeah, I think that's good, solid advice.
Yes.
Cool. All right. So yeah, a quick closer before we leave. I think yeah, I'd just like to ask this to guests just to see yeah if you could run an A/B test on anything in real life, no constraints, no tools, what would you test?
Oh, what a good question. I will. Um, if I would run an A/B test in my life or in the life, uh, I think that I will like. But I will basically A/B test everything. I always think in my personal life like, if I'm running an A/B test on this, what will be like the outcome? Uh, I would say like one A/B test that I would like to run is like for people who have kids. It's like what will be like a week of no TV versus a week with 1 hour of
Yeah.
TV. That is what I give to my kids every day. Like if there is will be like a change in how like they do creativity or plays and everything, because it's like I I say that TV is like a good resource when you need to cook at night or when you need to do something that. But so, I remember my time that I didn't have TV in my home, so when I was a kid, and I used to play with my imagination. So I always think about that, like what
Yeah.
would be like kids that today they are exposed to, I don't know. I don't give, for example, my phone or the tablet to my kids, but they are allowed to see 1 hour of TV per day. But I always think about that, like what will be like today with no TV, no screens for them. Like they will be the same as I did when I was a kid, or it will be completely different.
Yeah. I know it'd be super interesting to see
Yes.
what effect it has. There's definitely lots of Yeah, lots of that
Yes.
being talked about. And you do have to limit screen time.
Mm-hmm.
Kids just
Yes.
get used to it so quickly, right?
Yes. Yes. And I always think about that. Like,
I think that'd be cool. I'd like to know that what happens with that as well.
yes.
My
Yes.
boy's too young at the moment, so yeah, we're
It, it,
avoiding
it,
any screen
it's
time
going
for
to
him.
be like a tough one, but yes, it will be like a really, really good
Cool.
evidence.
Well, I think that's everything. Thanks for your time, Emiliano. It's been great chatting to you. Where can we find you online, or where can people connect with you if they want to find you outside? I'll start. So where can people find you online if they want to contact you or have a chat about experimentation?
They can find me in LinkedIn by Emiliano Blanco. I also have a
Cool.
Substack that is, I don't remember the name right now, but that I try to post things regularly. I haven't
Hmm.
been so much. And also, if you are on the Experimentation Nation Slack channel, I'm there. I always try to comment things. Yes, that's the place that you can find me.
Nice. Cool. Yeah, I saw people can sign up to like mentoring as well. Hey,
Yes, also
that's
mentoring. I put a
yeah,
price, but if you wanna do for free, I'm okay with that.
yeah,
So yes, I'm also can open to mentoring people. Yes.
nice, great, sounds good. Cool. All right, everyone. Yeah, thanks. If you enjoyed the episode, obviously give us a follow, leave a review, or share it with someone who also loves experimentation like us. But yeah, until next time, always be testing, and yeah, have a good one. Catch you later.
Thank you. Thank
Thanks.
you, Jason.
Bye.
Bye bye.
My name is Ronald Santiago, founder of Experiment Nation. Our new book, Prove It or Lose It, the mostly no-nonsense guide to surviving experimentation program drama is out now. Find it at experimentnation.com and all major bookstores today.